All right, it is Thursdays off the ball. We've had a little bit of a break for the last couple of weeks, but I'm delighted that John Giles is back with us again. Evening, John.
Evening, Nathan.
You're keeping well?
Good, thank you.
Good. We're still a few weeks away from the start of the season, though it's within the next month that the Community Shield is on, so not too far to go. But it's obviously the height of the transfer window, and there is a lot going on at the moment. We might go through some of the main transfers and get your thoughts on them. I'll start with Manchester City, because I know Leeds fans are going to want to know your thoughts on Calvin Phillips going to Manchester City, but also the signing of Erling Haaland. It's a really interesting window at City. Haaland, the type of player they didn't have last season, an out-and-out number 9, never stopped them scoring a huge amount of goals. Phillips coming into an area where he'll either complement Rodri or he'll go up against Rodri. And then losing Gabriel Jesus to Arsenal, and it seems almost certain now that Raheem Sterling, who's been so important for Pep Guardiola over the last 4 or 5 years, that Sterling is going to go to Chelsea. What have you made of what City have done so far?
Well, on the incomings, I think they've done well, Nathan. Phillips, we know, is an experienced player now and a very, very good midfield player. Haaland, I think, is the best young striker in the world, Nathan. Of all the lads I've seen, he's the best of them. So that will be huge for Manchester City, as we know. Because don't forget, last year they actually won the Premiership without a recognised striker, Nathan, which is remarkable. So I can't see this lad being a huge success at City. Sterling looks like he's gone out, and if I was a City supporter, I wouldn't bother about that.
Why?
I don't think he's done his stuff for City in the last 18 months. Some days when he's in the mood, as they say, he's doing it. But he always looked to me, this season anyway, as if he wanted to get away. He did. He hasn't been the Sterling that we know he can be. Not by any means. There's lots of matches I saw him play. Actually, he was left out of an awful lot of matches. So why would Guardiola do that if he was really performing? And he was performing better for England than he was for Manchester City. So it looked strange to me. It looked like a player that wasn't happy there for some reason and wanted to get away.
Haaland, you mentioned one of the best, if not the best, young striker. He'll turn 22 over the next couple of weeks. Do you think we're going to see a different style of play then from City this season now that they have a number 9 and with Sterling leaving as well? Like, do you see a scenario where it's Foden and Grealish both managing to play together off Haaland, or how do you see him fitting in and that front three looking for Manchester City?
I don't think he'll have any problems fitting in, Nathan. I mean, he's a footballer. And the goals he scores are not laid on for him all the time to be just nicking into the back of the net from 2 yards out. Like he's obviously a very, very intelligent player. What I've seen him as a striker, and I can't see him at City scoring a lot of goals. As I said, City last year did extremely well without a striker. But they did try to sign Harry Kane, as we know. I think Harry Kane would have finished with about 30 goals last season. I think this fella will, because they'll make enough goals. And they still got the other guys like the Foden and these lads there who did do their stuff last year to score, and they got them from midfield as well. So I can't see any reason why Haaland can't be the leading goal scorer for them and improve the team.
On those goals that he'll score then, and I'm trying to phrase this without being a particularly stupid question, they scored 99 goals last season.
Yeah.
How many more goals can you score across the season? So do you think he'll just score more goals, he'll get 30 and everyone else will drop down a little bit? Or do you look at him now at a Manchester City team and already think they're pretty much unstoppable for next season? Well,
I don't think he can add his goals to what they did last season, Nathan. Because there's obviously a player out, or 2 or 3 players out that won't be playing this season, where he'll be there. But you have to. Well, I always felt you have to have a recognised goal scorer, and City did remarkably well to do what they did. But if they get 90 goals again, it's quite a lot, Nathan, and they've got a better chance of getting 90 goals again, and maybe a little bit more, with getting Haaland in the team. I mean, he's a recognised striker. I think he's excellent Not me. Everybody thinks he's excellent. And I think with the way City play, with the way they make the goals for centre forwards, I can see him being a huge success for them. And it won't stop. It won't stop the other lads scoring goals anyway to come in on it.
Mm.
You know, they had them last year, as we know. Scoring 90 goals is remarkable without a recognised striker. I mean, if you look at Liverpool, for example, with Salah as leading goal scorer, all the other teams had leading goal scorers, Nathan.
Yeah.
Well, a recognised leading goal scorer. City didn't have it. I think the most anybody single individual was about 10 or 12, was it? From the City players, the most.
Yeah, I think towards the end of the season, a few of them started to get up a little bit more. De Bruyne and Sterling himself got into double figures again.
Yeah, but there
was nobody up on 25 goals.
He hasn't played well for City for at least 12 months, Sterling. I think anytime I've seen him playing, I think he's not really having a go. He looks like he wants to get away. And Guardiola said he hasn't fallen out with him, but he did leave him out of the team an awful lot. I mean, he didn't play that many games last season. And like the great thing about football, and you can see them out there. Is he having a go? Is he not having a go? I didn't see it with Sterling. Definitely not. So I'm not surprised that he's going. And if he's got Holland in, I mean, that's if you call that a swap, then it's a huge swap in ahead for Manchester City, as I see it.
Calvin Phillips is a player we've spoken about quite a bit over the last couple of seasons. Everyone, I know all the Leeds United fans are always interested in your thoughts, particularly on the midfielders. There's been any amount of speculation, particularly around Manchester United. He's ended up going to Manchester City. I'm interested how you see this working out for him, because Rodri was exceptional last season. He ends up in the team of the season. Fernandinho is gone. Do you see him and Rodri rotating, that one of them plays every second game, or could you see a situation where Rodri and Phillips play in the middle of midfield together?
I can't see them complementing each other, Nathan, to be honest. I think they're very similar in what they bring to a team. I mean, I've always been a little bit critical of Phillips, because... And I think, but the only thing in his favour, for I can see, I think he's been told at Leeds to be the defensive midfield player. Right? I think there's an awful lot more in him. His passing is brilliant when he does pass it, but he doesn't get on the ball as much as he should. He was saying for England as well, to dominate in a way that you should be dominating from the middle of the field. And funny enough, neither does Rodri. So I think they'll get on okay, but like the ideal combination would be somebody... one of the two of them to really dominate the middle of the field by being creative. And I haven't never seen Rodri being creative, Nathan. He's always done okay. He's an A to B man, I call it. You know, he gets it from A to B, passing. But he's not putting anybody through. He doesn't score many goals. Neither does Phillips. So I think both of them, I'd say they can play together with the players that City have.
Yeah.
They've got an awful lot of skillful players around them. So it'd be interesting to see, do they play together? I think they can play together, but you'd need one of them, and I think it could be Phillips that could be more creative in his game. He's a lovely passer of the ball, he's a lovely kicker of the ball, but I think he's been told he's a defensive midfield player when I see him for England and Leeds. I think there's a lot more in him if he wants to do it, and he has to want to do it himself.
Is it the right move for Phillips? I know it's almost impossible to turn down Manchester City if they come looking for you, but you know, he is going to be fighting with Rodri for a place. He's not going to play every single match. He's not going to be the integral figure that he was maybe at Leeds. Do you think he could have looked at one of those other top clubs, Manchester United, where maybe he would have been more of an integral part of the team? Well,
if I were him, I would have gone to City.
Right.
You know, Manchester United have an awful lot to do, Nathan. And with the ability that he has, I mean, he's been played in the Leeds team that's okay, but they're not up there with Manchester City. So it should improve him. If I'd say Guardiola would tell him he expects more from him on the ball, and if you're playing for City with a lot of good players around you, Nathan, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that. So I think it'd be a success for them. To be honest, now I'm not a big Rodri fan. He's okay, but I never see him getting on the ball and really making a goal. He gets it A to B okay, but if you look at his goal scoring record, he doesn't score many goals, Rodri. And I think in City, he should be scoring quite a lot of goals from the middle of the field. Now, he's a good player, but he's limited, in my opinion, what he brings to the team. And I find Phillips at England and Leeds in a similar situation.
Yeah.
I think he can do an awful lot more. I don't think he was asked to do an awful lot at Leeds because he was regarded as the holding midfield player, and similarly with England. But I think the ability he has, I think, is more natural ability than Rodri. If he's encouraged to do it, and I'd be surprised if Guardiola doesn't encourage him to be better and take on more in the team than he actually does at the moment.
What about Manchester United then? Erik ten Hag has come in as manager. They're heading off on their pre-season tour tomorrow, and they've signed just the one player so far, who is Terrell Malaysia from Feyenoord, full-back. They've been linked with any amount of players. Seems Christian Eriksen, that deal is pretty much done for Eriksen to come. They're still chasing Frankie de Jong from Barcelona as well, but it's all been overshadowed by Cristiano Ronaldo over the past week, and it seems his decision that he wants to leave the club because they're not playing Champions League football next season. For Ten Hag, should he let Ronaldo go?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if a player doesn't want to play for you, Nathan, he hasn't come back. I mean, he's supposed to be ill or there's somebody ill in the family, but he hasn't made an effort to come back. And he's not shown the right attitude if he wants to come back to Manchester and make a contribution. It looks like he wants to get away, Nathan. And it's very, very difficult for the manager. But all he can do, I'm only saying if I was in this, I just said, well, look, you have to go. If you want to go, you go. Because you have to have players in the club that's committed to what needs to be done, Nathan. And that doesn't seem to be the case with Ronaldo. I mean, he hasn't come back for training yet. This new manager has a big, big job to do, Nathan. There's no doubt about that. He has the Ronaldo problem, but he's got other players. Can he get them in? He's a lot to do, and it's going to take a bit of time to do it. But I don't think he can have Ronaldo in the club, despite the fact that he's a great player, as we know, that you're building team spirit, and he hasn't shown the right attitude so far. Because the right attitude is to get back as quickly as you can, the new manager, get into the training and get into the team, and the manager knows what he is. He really, really at the moment, he doesn't know where he is, in my opinion, the manager. And he needs time to get the Ronaldo situation sorted out as quickly as possible to get concentrating on all the other players in the club. Getting the players in that he wants is the big thing now, and getting rid of the players he doesn't want. But you can't have a player, no matter who it is, Ronaldo or anybody else, dictating the policy as he is doing at the moment.
Would you worry for Ten Hag, considering the pattern of Manchester United struggling to get deals done looks to be continuing? We've just spoken about Manchester City. They've got their big business done. Liverpool have kept Salah. They've got rid of Mane. They've brought in Darwin Núñez. Tottenham have a lot of business done. Arsenal have brought in Gabriel Jesus. Chelsea, it seems, are on the verge of signing Raheem Sterling. They've let Romelu Lukaku go. Whereas Manchester United, again, are in complete limbo with a squad that looked a million miles off it last season. If Ronaldo goes, you're looking at a scenario where Marcus Rashford is their really only out-and-out striker, aside from a youngster like Anthony Elanga, and Rashford again looked miles off it at the end of last season. That right now they're in a far worse state than they were even at the end of the season.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, Nathan. But he's only just gone in, and he will find a reluctance from players that in Ferguson's time would be delighted to get to Manchester United. There's no doubt about that. But I think he'll get the players. I think he knows enough players. He's come from a club where he's won his league 3 times, and so he'd know players. Now, I think the players he'd know would come to him because they obviously got on well with him as well. But Manchester United, like all the great clubs, Nathan, once you go into the position that they're in and have been in for the last 3 or 4 years, where they're not doing what they should be doing, the club they're in, you're obviously going to get a reluctance from players to come to that particular club rather than Manchester City or Liverpool at the moment. But I think he'll do a good enough job, and I think he'll get enough players in that he knows actually very, very well to come and do the job for him. At least what will happen with Manchester United, I think you'll see progress Whereas the last 4 years, I don't think they've seen any progress at Manchester United, and they're left in the state they're in because of bad management and bad running of the club.
Yeah.
Now, this fella has a big job to do, but Ferguson had a big job to do when he came in, Nathan. When he came in, it took him a while to do it, but he did it. And I think if the manager is what he's supposed to be, I think he'll get it done.
It's interesting you say he's going after players that he knows, because that seems to split opinion as to, a club the size of Manchester United should have a fully functioning scouting network. They should be in early for the players that they want, rather than relying on basically a load of Dutch footballers or players who've played in the Dutch league just because they're the players that Ten Hag knows.
Well, if you look at what's happened in the last 4 years, where whoever's been bringing the players in hasn't been the manager, Nathan. And look what a mess they made of that. I'd back this guy better as a manager who knows players that can do a job for him, particularly in the early stages. And that's what he needs now. Then you make progress from there early on. That's what happens with any manager. There's very few managers come in and immediately get what they want with the team to be successful. I mean, even Klopp at Liverpool, it took him a couple of seasons to get it right. And they went in a mess, Nathan. When you get Manchester United in the mess they're in, no matter who comes in, it's going to take them a bit of time to do it. But the best way to start it is to get players in that we're going to do what you want at the moment, and then progress from there. That would be my take on it.
I suspect the pre-season routine is slightly different for the current players than when you were playing, John. Manchester United are flying out to Thailand to play Liverpool in a pre-season friendly on Tuesday. Then they go to Australia to play the Melbourne Victory, and then again they're going around the world with games against other Premier League clubs. It's a bit mad what we expect of players, considering it feels like, the international fixtures finished just a few weeks ago.
It's really, Nathan, and it's greed, in my opinion. This is all about money, because the players were only back last week, okay? And what you get the players back for pre-season training for is to get them ready for the matches. Now they're playing matches. And how they don't get more than that could well do get injuries in that situation, because you do your training to be fit for the matches rather than the other way around. I mean, I go back a long time when I was playing at Leeds, and we never went away pre-season. We should play Bradford or one of the local clubs in the early pre-season matches while the training was going. In other words, you do 2 weeks training, Nathan, hard training, and you don't expect to be fit for matches. So you play matches where a lot of players can play, but you're not travelling. You can take players on, put them on. They're only friendly matches that you're playing in. That's how you build up your fitness. You get the training first, then you get a bit of playing, then you get more training. And if you look at Manchester United now, they're looking for Ronaldo to go on the trip, because there's probably more in it for them with Ronaldo playing than not playing. And he hasn't trained. Well, he hasn't been at the club training. He might be doing his training at home. But it looks like they only come back last week. It can't be right. And it's definitely a money situation for the clubs. And I think it's greed. I think you're better getting your players fit. It's hugely important, obviously, to start the season with your players fit and get the right training coming in. But Man U are not the only... As you said, they're playing Liverpool. I mean, are the Liverpool players back to? I don't know if they're back
I think both clubs went back on Monday, but not all of the players. I think the players who were involved in the latter stages of the internationals maybe aren't back until next week. Yeah, well, that tells you. I mean, the players are playing for too many games anyway. What we look at them now, they've only just looked like they finished the season. Now you're into pre-season training, and the pre-season training is one of the most important things at any club. This is where you get really fit, Nathan, You're back in the afternoon, you're really, really, really hard training, pre-season training, right? And then as you get near the start of the season, then you ease off on it. But you get the basic training into you in the early stages. Now, what you find now, Manchester United have been back a week, and the players have had a hard season last season anyway. Now they're going all around the world playing matches. And that's because of the money situation. But I think it's really, really difficult for players to play and get into the season and play matches when you're only just back training. It's changed totally, and I think it's wrong, and I don't think it's worth the money that they're getting. Pre-season training has always been,
one of the most important times of the season. This is when you get your fitness for the season, Nathan. Do you know what I mean? After that, you're playing the matches, you do a bit of light training, but you've got that basic fitness. Unless you get injured, then you have to start all over again. But I think it's totally wrong to be back after a hard season last season, a week back training, and now you're off playing matches again. I'd be surprised, and you would watch out for it, to see how many injuries these lads come back with.
One of the reasons the clubs need the money is because the ever-increasing wages in the Premier League, and Mo Salah is now right there amongst the top earners. An interesting window for Liverpool. They have kept Salah, finally got the deal done. It seems they came to a compromise. He wanted 400 grand, the club wanted to give 300, and they met in the middle at 350. Sadio Mane is gone to Bayern Munich, but already replaced by Darwin Núñez. What have you made of what Liverpool have done?
Well, they've gone back on their policy, Nathan. There's no doubt about it. The policy was when somebody gets to the 30 mark, they weren't going to give them an extended contract. Now, they were the only one club. My opinion, I'd give him the money, right, because he's such a great player. But money corrupts, Nathan. And what you find now, if he's on 350 grand a week, he's the highest paid player, I'd say, by 100 grand a week, right? So you get other players play, and he's a brilliant player, as we know. He's a great player, and players are only human. Sam, why is he getting 100 grand more than me?
Do players not look around and realise that Mo Salah's been Footballer of the Year? He's won the Golden Boot yet again. That we're talking about one of the best players in the world that deserves to be the best paid player in the Premier League. Yeah,
well, Nathan, he doesn't do it on his own. Do you know what I mean? This is what happens in a team. You get some players who are lauded more than other players, and they score most goals, but they don't do it on their own. And Liverpool have a lot of terrific players in their team that make the goals for Salah. I'm not saying it can happen. It will happen, but all I'm saying, as my experience in the game. And the money was much less than it was then than it is now. But I played in a very successful team, right? I don't know what the players were getting, but I think we were all getting pretty much the same. But if I was playing today, and I was playing with Billy Bremner, and we played together in midfield, and he was on 100 grand a week more than me, I wouldn't be happy about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, I'm not saying it can. I'm saying that money can corrupt, Nathan. And if you've got a team and a good spirit in it, money can come into it. And I think they've stopped their policy for doing what they've been doing with Salah. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, but if it's 100 grand more than anybody else, Nathan, players are only human, and they're contributing in a big way. I mean, they're all star players, don't forget.
So you think Van Dijk might be looking at this thinking, well, I'm the best centre-back in the world, so why not me?
Yeah, who's making the goals for Salah? Like, you're only as good as the players around you, and he's brilliant, but he can't do it on his own, And I mean, that's why Mane left, because they weren't giving him the money that he wanted, obviously.
Well, they obviously
have a policy, and they've had a policy for the last few years, that anybody gets to 30, they don't give them an extended contract, and they certainly don't raise it to the level that it's happened with Salah. I'm only saying that can happen. I mean, to be honest, if I was at Liverpool, I'd give him the money, but and I think he deserves it. But you're dealing with human beings, Nathan. Why is he getting the money? Why am I not getting it? You never know. But money does corrupt in situations like that. I've seen it before at clubs, and I know players into Joe Bloggs. He's getting, and like in my day, he's getting 100 quid more than me a week. And what's he doing more than me? It does happen, Nathan.
Just a word on Mane, John.
But it's out there now that Mo Salah is getting. I think Van Dijk is supposed to be on 250 grand a week. Now, well, this is big money, but Salah is on 100 grand more than him, and might be on 150 grand. It doesn't help team spirit. Let's put it that way.
Just on Sadio Mane's departure, then, we've spoken about the Liverpool front three, particularly the traditional front three of Mane, Firmino, and Salah. There was always a feeling, I think, over the years that Yeah, Mane and Firmino were almost as key to it as Salah. That, you know, the work rate of Mane set the tempo for so much of what Liverpool have done. Now they brought in Darwin Núñez, who looks a different type of player, but they'd already brought in Luis Diaz as well, who was outstanding in the second half of last season. Is it a big risk, do you think, for Liverpool letting Mane go?
Well, he's a terrific player, but what they have done very well, Nathan. The players that they brought in are top-class players, really, really good, who can take over from Mane and that. Now, Mane is a terrific player as well, but I think they've brought in players brilliantly. They're top-class players, and that's why I'm surprised that they've gone with the Salah situation, because they let Mane go. And Mane's a terrific player as well, one of the great players. But the lads they brought in have been top class, really top class, and the players, whoever's bringing the players in, is doing a great job, Nathan. And I thought honestly that the players that they brought in, they'd let Salah go.
Yeah.
Because these are terrific players. So I think what they've done now, actually, they've disrupted the policy of keeping the players on that money, and it could go against them. That's all I'm saying. But Salah is one of the great players, but they have terrific players in. Mane was a great player for them. Mane was a great player for them as well. But they've let him go because that's been their policy for the last few years. Now they've changed it for Salah. So it depends now on how that goes down with the rest of the players. I'm always saying it's a possibility when money comes into it in that particular way.
One other club briefly I wanted to touch on was Tottenham, another side who for once seemed to have got their transfer business done well and done early. I did fear we'd spend a few weeks over the summer talking about Antonio Conte and will he stay at the club or will he want out, as Daniel Levy was up to his old tricks. But they've spent a lot of money to bring in Richarlison from Everton. They've signed Yves Bissouma, the midfielder from Brighton. Ivan Perisic, very experienced player, Croatian, has come in as well, adding to the signings they made in January and keeping Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. Tottenham look like they could be a force next season.
I would imagine so. But there again, Nathan, they brought Conte in, not having had a real manager for years, really, with this top man doing most of the stuff or not giving the money. And Conte has insisted on doing it. And look at the difference he's made since he's come in. He's only there, whatever he is, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. I'm relating that now to the Manchester United manager coming in. Like, if you have the right manager, and I think Conte's a great manager, they can do it. It's difficult, but they can do it. And he's done a great job on them. There's no doubt about that. And the Richarlison situation, I'm a little bit surprised at it, Nathan. It's only my opinion. I never really rated him that highly.
Why?
At Everton. I thought he was moody. I remember the time he insisted on taking the penalty when somebody else should have been taking the penalty. I never found him as a team player, and I didn't rate him that good, to be quite honest. So when he's gone to Spurs, I think, what position is he going to play in? You know, his son and Kane are two of the best strikers in the Premiership, and this fella's an out-and-out centre forward. You know, he's a target man. There's no doubt about that. I can't see him playing anywhere else. So, obviously, Conte has something in his mind as to where he's going to play Kane. I mean, Son, we know he's going to play. He plays left-hand side of the centre forward.
Could Richarlison play on the right behind Kane?
I can't see him being in that position. I don't see him as a player. He's a big centre forward. He's a big target man that can do that. I think that's his best position by a mile. I can't see him playing out of position as I see him out of position on the right-hand side or left-hand side of Kane. I mean, Son does a great job on the left-hand side, but he's very mobile and he can play in any position. I don't see Richarlison as that type of player. But obviously, that's Conte's decision, and he knows what he's doing. I'm just a bit curious about it, Nathan.
All right, John. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to be back every Thursday night as we build up towards the season. I think what we're going to do, we're going to say it out loud on air, so we have to do it. We spoke about doing it last year, John, where we're going to do a feature every Thursday night on one of the great managers of the 60s. So maybe Bill Shankly, Matt Busby, Don Revie, and we'll pick your brains on your memories of them as managers over the next few weeks. And Jock Stein as well. So we'll do the 4 of them over the next 4 weeks.
Okay.
Great stuff, John. We'll talk to you then.
Okay. Thanks, Nathan.